Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about rhythmic values. We will be taking many of the symmetrical beat values that make up a measure in 4/4. 4/4 is a time signature. This time signature tells the reader or performer that there are four quarter notes that fit into one measure. I will be showing you what every rhythm on these pages are and how they should be thought of to better internalize. I know this looks over convoluted, but the principle stays the same, whether simple or complex, and is a perspective that any musician should have while reading, learning, or writing music. Let's check it out. Here we have the whole note. This note sounds for a whole measure in 4/4. All the examples I'm going to show you are going to have time being kept in the background to create a time perspective. I know many of you know these basics, but I have never seen this idea taught about rhythm, so it's crucial to be patient because it gets complex quick. This whole can be broken up into an exponential amount, as you see on these images. Actually, mathematically, it can hypothetically be sliced infinitely, although practically and musically, it is an impossibility. Whether to infinity or not, theoretically the principle stays the same though. In these videos, we are going to be breaking it down to the 30-second note, meaning this guy right here, 30-second note. Some people are familiar with whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, even 16th notes, and then the next subdivision would then of course be 30-second notes. Anyone that knows basic fractions, you cut a whole into half, cut half into quarters, cut quarters into eighths, eighths into sixteenths, and sixteenths into 30 seconds if you keep cutting them by half. However, I wanted to talk about all the notes in between. Some of you are familiar with triplets, sextuplets. I want to go over all these that may seem trivial to some and may seem exciting to others. The reason I'm only breaking it down to the 30-second note, for the majority of all music, 30-second notes are usually the shortest and quickest value used, but the principle works the same regardless. Let's start by dividing. If I take this whole note and divide it by 2, it becomes half, like I stated earlier. By 4, they become quarters. By 8, they become eighths, and so on. But what about the non-exponential numbers? Specifically the non-negative integers or whole numbers for those non-math geeks in between, like 3, 7, 5, 11, so on. Well, threes, or triplets, would be in between the half and quarter notes, but being that there's not a separate symbol for it, it borrows from the larger value, incorporating the beaming or bracketing with the signifying number that dictates how the specific rhythm sounds, is grouped, and how it evenly distributes the larger subdivision above it. In this circumstance, the triplet uses a 3 above the grouped half notes connected to a bracket. This in turn signifies that you are fitting 3 half notes in the time of 2, or the ratio 3 in the time of 2. This means that they are played slightly faster than halves, but not quite as fast as quarters. They are perfectly in between. Although triplets are very common, they become less so through different rhythmic incarnations, like 16th note triplets or 30-second note triplets or 8th note triplets. These are actually quite uncommon themselves. Usually you see triplets in quarter notes and in eighth notes more than you do in half notes or 16th notes. This concept, of course, can be placed in different subdivisions, like making half the one and dividing everything from halves, or making a double whole note the one and dividing everything from there. The next video will be concluding this by finishing the breakdown to the 30-second note and how you get every value in between. Go ahead and use this idea on whatever number or ratio you'd like to imagine. Remember to not only be practical but be musical. I'll see you guys real soon with part 2.